Okay, let's get started. So first, a little bit of housekeeping. This session is probably going to run about 45 minutes, might run a little bit longer, depending upon whether we get some good questions and spend a little time going back and forth with everybody. But first off, what I'd like to share is this is uh, really a special topic. The top 5 new features in the Tokyo release. We love this. We do this. Obviously, we do it twice a year as the different releases come up. Let me share today's agenda with you, and we'll get rolling. First off, as we look at the agenda, we're going to be talking about the topic. We're going to get right into Tokyo stuff. There's some specific things we're going to highlight. We'll talk about the top 5, but we'll probably cover other stuff along the way as we connect those dots. But first, from an introductions and events news perspective, let me just share a quick topic. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, this is part of a workshop series that CDW does, educational series at no cost. And we do this for our customers, and very often we get ServiceNow themselves participating in it and helping to deliver, which is the case today. We're excited about that. But previous events that we've done, and we do these about once a month, covered CMDB. We talked about employee experience transformation, a lot of different topics based on the different modules in ServiceNow, but a lot of them are strategy as well, workflow, the people and process side. So if you missed a lot of those or just want to get caught up or share that, we can get you links to any of those recorded sessions we've done, and we've done probably over 20 in the last year and a half or so. So if you'd like more information on the previous ones, how to get at those links and the PowerPoints, just reply to the invite you got today, and we'll get you set up with those. Specifically, though, want to give you a heads up. We've got a new one on the calendar that is just a couple of weeks away. And this is a real important one from a pure basic platform or foundation perspective. It's talking about the health of your ServiceNow platform. And there's a lot of different ways to look at that, but we're going to talk in this session about how to check the technical debt your system may have. So if your platform's more than a year or two older, most certainly there's going to be opportunities to improve efficiencies on what you've built, how you've configured it, the automation. We can help you reduce technical debt. We'll have some tips around that. We'll also talk about how do you stay on top of this? What kind of ongoing health program can you have? Just kind of like going to the dentist twice a year or whatever that might be. So stay tuned for that. In the email you got today, you might even see a link to this session, but we'll also make sure we get a formal invite to you. So look forward to that. But that's it. That's all for my commercials. We're going to roll up our sleeves and we are going to jump in. Top 5 new features of the Tokyo release. And we've got a team today that I'm real excited about that's going to deliver this. And it's led by Fernando Alvarez, who is part of the CDW ServiceNow team. Fernando's going to kick us off and take us for the first part of the journey. But we'll also hear from Greg Wheeler. He's a CDW manager here, and he focuses on a lot of things. So his experience goes throughout the platform, as does Fernando's. But Greg focuses a lot on strategic portfolio management, and you'll hear him talk a lot about the process behind those things, and of course highlighting the newer features in the Tokyo release that are appropriate. And then really excited to have ServiceNow join us today, and Jay Salisbury is going to have a set of topics as well. So in addition to CDW giving our opinion of top 5 features, Jay's excited to share his thoughts on some of the things as well. So we're ready to roll. Fernando, I understand you're up first, so I'm going to turn the mic to you. A housekeeping item. We welcome questions. So in the browser, in the meeting tool, you'll see a Q&A section. If you want to go into that Q&A section and ask any questions at all at any time during the presentation, we may wind up waiting till the end and kind of batching them. We may look at some of those questions as they come in and might be able to work them in as we're chatting. And if we don't get to them all, we'll obviously make sure we follow up, even if it's a one-off, right after the session. So the Q&A place is the place to ask questions. Fernando, the mic is yours.
Thank you, John. All right, so we're gonna get started with customer and industry workflows. And this one is the practice that I represent in CDW. So this one right here, just so I can contextualize it, is it's really CSM and FSM with some of the newer SKUs that you might be in or you're just hearing a little bit about. That's just the context, right? Where we're seated. We also have some features as it happens with customer and industry workflows. Some of the features that are created in there also touch across the platform. So we might also be talking about some of those around data models. So, having said that, let's get started. So with CSM, we normally have two sides of the coin, right? Because it's in purpose, it's done for customers, right? It's supposed to be external. So these are some of the areas that ServiceNow has invested in this release. Obviously, on the internal view, we have the customer engagement portion, the platform of CSM, workforce optimization, operations. But I'm focusing on the red boxes over here. So we're going to be speaking around engagement and operations, again, from an internal and external view, which, of course, they will have a different UI and a different sort of functionality. The first feature we want to talk about, I'm very excited about this one, is customer portal locale, right? And what we have over here is how do we define, something that is bigger in terms of context of your customers, not just language, but now going deeper, right? And catalog items, right? But also even for those guest users, if you had consumers, right? How do I get them to have the appropriate, like as you can see here, language items, all the translations that you are expecting to see, all the local biases, right? And you can even have at this point um, this done again, not only from the IP browser perspective, but also you can have fallback languages. So, as an example, I could be logging in from Mexico, right? And we don't have the locale of Mexico, so we have, but we do have Spain. So it's not exactly the same locale, but it has a fallback. And if it, let's say I don't have Spain either, but we have Spanish in general, then it will fall back to it, and then all the way to English. So this is great to have for those organizations in multiple geographies, right? Because we believe that's how you build good user experiences, right? Is by truly bringing forward the best ways on how to interact with your people. So this is great, and it works again out of the box. So great functionality from a customer engagement perspective. The other portion now on the internal side of customer engagement that we have over here, and I've been expecting this to come for a bit, is sidebar. So I don't know how many years have you been on the ServiceNow platform, where we used to have something called ServiceNow Connect, right? And it was this basic internal chat, right, within the native UI. Now we have this new functionality called Sidebar, which replaces the ServiceNow Connect within the new next experience UI, right? That we call it. And so this is all optimized for this. And what it is very similar previous the other functionality, which is real-time collaboration, right? With task-based records. So if those are a case, an incident, a major case, an interaction, it allows to have that conceptual interaction between people. So it will understand that I'm talking about this specific case, and so I can collaborate on the right without having to quote unquote pollute the actual ticket. So this is great, and it's all archived. And it always allows you to connect, right? Because that's how task-based records really work with each other. It allows you to connect the dots on those and improve collaboration. So this is pretty interesting. Um, and here you can see a little bit of a demo. I will just um, go over here so you can actually see how it's pretty interactive. It actually reminds me a little bit of the virtual agent, where you have, you can click on things and it responds to certain prompts, right? And so you can see all the different scenarios, right, that you can be interacting with at the same time. So that's where you find them. You can favorite them. You can look at attachments. It's pretty robust, as you can see. All right. So I'll go with the next one, which is now on the customer operations. This is depending on how complex your organization can get, right? This is one of these features that, again, I just as a geek and a fan of the platform, this is something that I've been waiting for also. So on industry data models, as part of again one of the biggest extensions that really CSM brings to the reusable data model practice in the platform is that we have this new way of not only mapping what we used to have before internal business locations, right? But now we have external business locations. So the good thing about an external business location is that you might not own your company might not own the actual location, right? But you can still support it and have it as a single point of support even for your internal employees. So this works for franchises, dealerships, independent insurance agents, all working on the same system. So it's great because not only now we have these external business locations, but we also have, as you can see here on the left, these beautiful portal, the BLSP portal. That's the little acronym in there. And so what that does is that again you can have the employees. I'm just going to give an example. If you had stores, right, and so some of them are franchises, you can have them have catalog items for those specific subcontractors over there or employees that are within that franchise, and be able to open cases and look at all the business locations they have underneath their profile. So it's great because it also allows managers for those locations to see all the franchises, as you can see here on my business locations, and then staff will only see the specific ones they are related to. Again, all out of the box. If you were using internal business locations, this is just newer functionality you have. Now you don't have to have a customized portal for this. Um, you can also see that we have the concept of service organization install bases. This is again an extension from we use this on CSM a lot, right? The really the way on how you expose your CMDB to your customers is through install base, right? You don't expose CIs or your entire CMDB. So the install base items now are able to be related to these external or internal business locations and organizations. So again, moving forward with this whole idea of if I'm an employee and I'm also supporting customers, right? And it could be retail, it could be on a bank, right? On an office, and I'm supporting them face to face or whatnot. Then how can I also get support for my own things on my location? So this allows that to be done basically very easy if you have a good structure on your CMDB. Obviously, this improves customer experience. It resolves issues faster because now, again, I have the connection of knowledge base and knowledge management best practices and even communities that you have that deployed with your managed products and services that were installed in your service organization. So this is great when people get all the ducks in a row, right? And so more extensions. By the way, these past two are all part of industry data models, which is again one of the 5 or 6 data models that we have in CSM. This one is specific for professional or enterprise licensing. All right, and now you can see here a little bit of a demo in terms of what the external business locations look like, right? Here you can see there's a couple in Phoenix. You can click through them. You can see all the cases, the members that are part of these organization, the products that we're supporting over there. I don't know if you could see, but the products were not only actual hardware pieces, right? But also it could be services. And then you can add members. So this is a great interface. You don't no longer have to um, have these native UI fulfiller view that we used to have. You can just add contributors to a location without having to, and again, registering stuff by yourself, right? Without having to create this convoluted workflow. This is much more simplified and easier to process. Um, you can also see, obviously, all the cases that these different users have opened, and everything as you will expect: dedicated catalog, dedicated articles, and obviously the install base, as I was saying before, related to each of these users. So this is great, and obviously this connects to any other better together workflows, such as FSM when you're doing on-site support, and obviously any of the other. Like SPM that Greg is going to talk about in a second. If you have projects, then those will show up in there too. So this is great. All right, and then let's go with the next one. This is task intelligence. This is a new feature, and I believe this came from an acquisition that happened last year on ServiceNow, and this is amazing. What it does is that it can understand case sentiment using artificial intelligence. So out of the box, it comes with pre-trained AI models where you can track the initial and emerging customer sentiments. So you can see over there what they look like. Um, these obviously could give you proactive actions on trending sentiments, changing the user's behaviors, a priority, an escalation. And so you have negative, neutral, and positive, and you can see if they're declining or improving. You also have, a lot of different, again, coming to the Better Together story, you have other functionalities such as AWA, Advanced Work Assignment, that basically what that does is automated assignment of cases and tasks. And this will help, right? If you connect AWA with this, it will help to understand, oh, you know what, this is not helping with this specific agent or this specific scenario. Let's pivot from that. So it's pretty nice. And we also, part of task intelligence, we also pivot into document intelligence. And if you are in knowledge, you probably saw a demo of this. And this is basically eliminating manual entry for different fields that you might have out of an attachment. Sometimes we ask for things and people attach them. This is able to map them. This is one of those platform functionalities that are pretty impressive, I would say. And even you can look at different workflows based on that extracted data. So let's say that you find a credit card or social security number on the attachment, then there might have to be a specific workflow logic for that is going to send it to different teams or different processes. That could all be automated through this. Um, so pretty nice. And then the third one will be case categorization. So this one, as you can see with case categorization, it really allows not only to understand, where the email is coming from, as today we have that, right? We have, when you send an email, you can just do an email rule and define where it needs to go. But in here, this goes way deeper because it's now understanding, okay, from all of these different inboxes, how can I send this to the correct team per the content of the email? It could also, do things as matching a customer and agent language. So it's reducing effort and obviously handoffs. And those languages, by the way, has 5 that are pre-trained out of the box: English, Spanish, German, French, and Portuguese. And you can also train 11 additional ones like Japanese, Italian, Dutch. This is, again, more than just the short and long description. It's looking at the whole email. And by the way, this categorization is done on the first email, not obviously on the back and forth that happens after. Um, and this obviously will help, put it in context, just reducing the admin overhead, so you don't do so many of these triage and just making sure you have the best type of support happening. All right, and just as a quick demo of this, I will show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna show you a sample doc, so you can click on show doc intel. This is the information that it's understanding. You could obviously train it, right? So you can mix and match the things that didn't map correctly. So as you go on, you'll see some of that happening. See, you can change the invoice date, you can change the amount due for the one that it should be tracking. So it does like a mapping of the attachment. Very, very useful. You can also verify information after you have completed all of that, and just train the model. So next time when it has that kind of attachment, it will just map it for the next opportunities. So that's a little bit of that training, and now you can see where it came from and how it was able, to map it into the case fields. So that's a lot of that, making sure that it makes sense. So you'll just click on it and make sure that that task from the doc intel actually happens. All right. And
Fernando, before you move on to the next subject, we got a
yes,
couple of questions. So one of the
sure.
questions is, can the customer portal locale be tied to personas, user groups, or personalization of offerings? So how is it understanding what language to, locale to provide back?
That's a great question. So there's two and three ways maybe how it does that. So IP address, browser, how you have it set up. Obviously, that most of the times that is aligned with your OS, right? And the third one is now that's for, by the way, those two are for unauthenticated users, right? So if you're a guest user, you never had a user ID, it will take those two into consideration. But if
Mhm.
you're already authenticated, right, and you have a third one, I can define those user personas when I set up, my basically, depending on if you're B2B or B2C, if it's a household or it's an account, I can also specify those in. So that would obviously, then it's same as advanced work assignment where it takes all the information it's getting out of the um, uh, account records and the historicals. It will look at, you always had these cases coming out in English. This is, and the locations you support are in the US, it will just keep it as is. So it doesn't disrupt them. But if it starts seeing that, oh, you have subsidiaries, right? You have child accounts under a global account, and those require a little bit more, right? Then it will, yeah, it will go through it and it will understand that, oh, this guy is in Germany, so let's try to switch that and offer it. So yeah, it's a combination of 3, 4 different elements. Yeah.
Okay, and one other quick question. Does task intelligence work for requests as well as cases? So will that work on other types of tasks, or this is just something that's limited to CSM?
This is actually platform centric, so it should be able to work in any task-based record, so including rhythms and requests, yeah, or SE tasks, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we have this other portion, enterprise asset management. So this one is I truly believe in this one in the sense that it's resolving for so many more things, and it's this journey that if you've been paying attention, how ServiceNow is evolving into more than an IT tool, right? It's more than just managing your IT assets. Now we're managing everything you can think of. So when we say everything, we're thinking about, from cloud to software, hardware that we always had, but now we're thinking about enterprise assets. So frontline, like office equipment, production machinery, facilities, buildings. Someone told me the other day, I even manage cows in there. So now you can, have all types of assets being managed as what you will define as an asset, not necessarily an IT asset. Um, and this really pivots into a very great way of thinking, right? Because it's the same workflow as we always thought about, right? So how can I, make sure that finance and operations are making sense? How can I automate the process on how I procure these assets, and how do I deploy them? And how can I then make sure that no one is operating them incorrectly, or putting an audit trail behind them, right? Or having stock rooms and transfer orders and all of these beautiful things being tracked of, right? So this at the end of the day enables this process to be democratized, in any other way of how we normally tackle this with all types of assets. So we're looking as EAM functioning almost like a control tower, right? Because what it's doing is not only providing transparency, but also really giving some sort of control around everything that we have on the organization that has a financial impact on it. So this is now a horizontal product that is being used across any industry. So I will say, if you pair this out with HCLS, for example, the healthcare and life sciences SKU, it will allow you to do clinical devices, right? Or if you are in retail, it will look at point of sale systems, right? In manufacturing, it's looking at production machinery and even employee gear. So all of these are tables that come out of the box and enable you to track this on the activities that are supposed to be happening from acquiring to deploying, right? And making sure that you have these cycles when you need to refresh, when you need to be compliant through audits, auto replenishments, bulk orders, mobile scanning. All of this, again, is being democratized. And this is great because in reality, a lot of what we're seeing, a lot of our customers were doing this already, right? Because you needed to pivot, and so this allows you to not only have a ServiceNow supported feature and functionality, but everything that has to do with automating requests, reservation swaps, repairs, recalls, all of those different things that you normally will have, they will truly come to life in a very structured way. So inventory management is very complex, obviously. So depending on the kind of asset that you are really managing, so this takes care of that. And obviously, any sort of requests, reservations, repairs, recalls, this is where it also comes in and works with FSM, as you can see here. So you have EAM being the end-to-end lifecycle management, right? And then you go through your entire process. And I'm just again mentioning FSM not because I'm biased and I and I own this on the practice, but also it's just like the support arm of EAM. And so basically, again, it will allow you to have any of these functionalities, again, work orders, auto dispatch, skills management, calendars, SLAs, truck rolls, geolocation, all this beautiful functionality on maintaining and servicing your customers or even your again internal operations. FSM comes in and it helps to be that single point of support. Um, another portion that you have in here, as you can see, is beautiful dashboards, as we always talk about, right? This comes all as standard with your EAM entitlement, and the idea is that you have all these enterprise assets being visible through the acquisition, movement, and use. Obviously, through M&A, location openings and closings, and other ongoing operations, we tend to lose control. And so it allows that lack of compliance, lack of audits to kind of be ironed out, right? Obviously, this helps on reducing capex, right, and spending less time on audits, and just looking at having reliable assets. This is the inventory management portion. As I was saying before, it's pretty specific, right? It allows assets and even spare parts, streamlining the stock rooms, processes of stock levels, looking at all the dependable asset information. Let's say that you're gonna have stock disruptions or any unnecessary overspending. This all takes care of that. It's pretty, pretty nice because as you can see, the interface is very familiar, right, with the Next Experience UI. So it really allows people to be able to, order now, say, hey, I have this missing, and then go into a trigger workflow at the same moment. And again, like I said, this is really a better together story. FSM works with this. Workplace Service Delivery works with this too. If you want to obviously support your internal buildings and facilities. And then it also allows with ESG, again, another new application in Tokyo that we're not going to talk about today, but that's another one that is really becoming a way on how you plan and monitor and measure impact of those assets, right? So it really is breaking down data silos, the barriers of, oh, this is IT asset management into how can I make it enterprise wide? And that's about it with enterprise asset management. Do we have any questions? No?
There's one just on, is this different than the ham model in licensing? And then we can move on.
Yes, it's a different licensing. EAM is different than HAM. Yep.
All right.
Oh, I see another one here from Brian. Inventory asset catalog, very familiar to product catalog. How are they different? Well, that's a very good question. So I think the product catalog normally, again, it's so in the sense they're both based on the CMDB. This one again is going way above and beyond on the type of things that you are, because normally you have a product, right? And it's you have your model categories and you have all the stuff that is happening under it. This one goes a little bit further on the type of assets that you can include in there, because normally your model categories out of the box on ServiceNow are very IT, right? This is a way outside of IT, and also the attributes, the different like fields that you can put on in front of it, they could be pretty different. Because the workflow might be different for machinery than a computer, right? So that's a little bit of that, what that helps with on this catalog perspective. But yeah, also the tracking of that is a little bit different. But to your point, Brian, yes, it is based, again, this is an extension of the base tables that we have in the CMDB. So it is based on the same methodology. It's just much more, I would say, industry centric. So, yeah, that's how they're different. Sure. All right. Let me. Oh, there you go. All yours, great.
Thank you, sir. And we put CSM up front because we knew there'd be a lot of interest in that. It seems to be an exploding piece. It was hard to limit down even within the customer workflows and the enterprise asset management to just a few topics within that. There's a lot of growth and there's a lot of expansion in that. So service portfolio management is my favorite piece of the disciplines. For me, this enables us to pull a mix of services and offerings and apply our resources, both staff and IT and financial, and make sure that they're aligned to the business strategies. Those of you who are familiar with the TBM Council model will recognize this slide. So if you move on to the next slide, please, sir. What we're really trying to do here is ensure that we all work directly towards things that support organizational goals and that we prioritize our work for best results. We're also trying to ensure that we have transparency and that we appropriately communicate to ensure that our decision makers have the information that they need and they're all on the same page. And lastly, we're trying to ensure that adequate data is available to make objective decisions. So how did ServiceNow try to attack some of that in Tokyo? If you move on to the next slide, please. We're addressing this in 3 different ways, right? There was enhancements to the alignment portal or the alignment planner workspace that we'll talk about at a high level. Enable us to export to PowerPoint. We'll talk about that very quickly, and some financial metrics that start to tie this together. This is an ongoing evolution of this space. Each of these topics, all of this topic, I could talk to you for the hour. I could talk to you for the whole day on these topics. So we're going to kind of skim along the top of this. If there's other things that you want to talk to me about, anybody on this call who knows me knows that I will talk to anybody about any of this stuff because I wind up learning a lot from these conversations with other people. So this would be great. So the roadmap planning is ServiceNow's enterprise planning tool, and it kind of allows stakeholders to visualize and communicate across functionality, and the alignment planner workspace capabilities expanded that to go beyond roadmap planning and start to target our strategies. So what are we looking to do here? We're looking to be able to tie strategies and goals to our initiatives and projects and demands and epics. So if you'll notice on these screens that I don't have the great visualizations that Fernando did. But on the screens, what we're starting to be able to do is define goals, both at a portfolio level and at an enterprise level, and then roadmap back entire initiatives and our projects back towards those goals. And so it gives us that visualization of how we can align what we're trying to do with what we're trying to achieve. In addition, what you'll notice on this screen is that we can start to tie now dependencies across initiatives, to tie dependencies across projects right within this view. So we can start to see how one piece depends on another, and we can get this big picture planning and this big picture roadmap put into place so that we can work with our executive teams to start to tie what is the organization trying to do and then drill down in at a portfolio level. Next slide, please. The other thing that has been enhanced is our ability to have a backlog. And we can have a backlog of initiatives at our enterprise level, and also a backlog of projects and demands and epics at our portfolio level. And we start to plan out that, prioritize and plan out that. So, you know, again, if anybody wants to talk to me about this more, it helps us start to drill down, understand the big picture and drill down and understand where these pieces are. It also will tie, for those of you who are familiar with the ideation demand project, ideation demand epic, ideation demand, the items at the portfolio level, projects, epics, demands, tie and relate to the initiatives at the enterprise level so that we can start to understand how our tactical moves are aligning to and supporting our strategic pieces. So next slide, please. So overall, all of these new enhancements in the Alignment Planner workspace allow our business owners to align the work that we're trying to do with the strategic outcomes that we're trying to get to, if that makes sense. And then quickly, next slide is, now we have an ability to export to PowerPoint. As much as we try to drive our clients to, hey, the visualizations are right in the platform, get your stakeholders to work right within the platform, let's run our portfolio meetings right from the platform, right? I don't know whether you guys have experiences with your own organizations trying to do that. There are a certain set of stakeholders that want to see a PowerPoint slide or want to see something in a different format. While we lose the ability to drill down those stakeholders, we have to honor their requests. So this new ability to export directly to PowerPoint to create personalized templates for status reports and such, and to drive that back, helps us so that we don't have to build that custom each time that we're doing this. So this is a really, I'm really glad that they put this in, because it's going to meet something that a lot of our customers are trying to achieve. And then if you go to the next slide, please. And now what we can also do is tie that all back to the financial view so that we understand the budget, plan costs, actual costs. Usually this took a lot of time to put together, but now we have this financial view where if we work the items correctly underneath, all of this ties back. So we get to start to see this bigger view, and we start to see this understanding on a real-time basis just by working our projects. So we don't have to spend the time and effort to then go generate these views. So we're starting to tie that bigger picture back together. The last slide in this area, please, Fernando. So really, you know, we've touched on these three issues, and I know I talked really fast and I was trying to skim. Definitely my contact information is going to be in this deck. I will talk to you guys all day about any of these areas or anything else within this platform set. So feel free to reach out. Jay, I'm going to hand it back to you for the HRSD, and then we'll wrap up if we have time with a little bit extra. We're giving you, we promised you 5. We promised you 2 people and 5. We have 3 people, and we're going to have 7 or 8 if we have time. CDW always likes to provide more than what it originally promised. So thanks, Jay.
Great. Hey, thanks, Greg. You know, this section, we're going to overview the key features that help solve the many challenges that managers are facing in this hybrid work environment. So we're going to look at Manager Hub first. It's a dynamic solution that empowers people leaders with the resources, the information, and team insight really needed to support their employees and really their teams effectively. So then we'll go and look at Journey Designer. That feature is going to deliver a new unified journey experience for organizations and helps managers better support those employee journeys. And lastly, it's not listed here on our header slide, but we're going to overview how ServiceNow continues to improve that organizational efficiency, leading to better employee experiences with what we call issue auto resolution for HR. So let's go ahead and get started with the next slide. So with Manager Hub in the Tokyo release, we're really focusing on the manager experience by empowering those people leaders with new ways to support their employees. With hybrid work environments, managers have a more complex and important job than ever. We're seeing where managers are struggling to keep up with geographically dispersed teams, where physical separation and new ways of working have affected employee engagement and retention. With Manager Hub, people leaders are now empowered with the tools and resources that are critical to support their employees' needs and lead their teams in this hybrid work environment. Manager Hub delivers this purpose-built destination for people leaders to stay informed and engaged with their teams by leveraging personalized resources. Now, accessible from the Employee Center, managers can view a summary of team insights and action items for employee journeys and daily team stats. The summary also includes important dates, task, and employee requests, and manager notifications and alerts can also be enabled. Now, these features allow people leaders to take quick action on the team's most urgent needs, and they stay ahead of their team's most important activities. I think we can agree that to be a better people leader in the world of work today, leveraging digital resources is a necessity. With Manager Hub, we address this challenge by delivering curated content like company news and announcements, related knowledge articles, guides, and tips, giving managers a single destination to access tools needed to lead their teams. Being able to work from anywhere, anytime, is also really valuable to managers today. And Manager Hub is available in Now Mobile, keeping the people leaders connected with their teams from anywhere. So let's switch and take a look at Journey Designer on the next slide. And, really creating a journey experience that makes work life simpler for managers to support their teams was a top priority in the Tokyo release. And with Journey Designer, we successfully delivered a unified journey experience that joins Journey Accelerator and lifecycle events so managers can better support and personalize employee journeys like onboarding and offboarding. Internal career transitions, promotions, relocations, and focusing just on onboarding. A few stats here to really illustrate the importance of the experience for new hires. Good onboarding improves retention rate by as much as 82%. And over 90% of new hires' decision to stay with their new company is influenced by their, by their onboarding experience. And only 12%, pardon me, of U.S. employees consider their onboarding effective. So with all of that information pointing to this and the real competition out there for talent today, this is a really important feature that's been placed on the platform. So Journey Designer can create that immersive experience that new employees crave and almost immediate sense of belonging and confirming their choice to accept their new position. So with Journey Designer, managers can track and initiate employee journeys, as well as learn how they can best use journeys to support their teams. And they can recommend content from learning posts to employee journeys. And the last feature I'll highlight here is that leveraging the on-platform machine learning, managers can embed learning content within a task, send employees personalized nudges to complete tasks and approvals, and receive actionable notifications related to those journeys. These include assigning mentors through virtual agent within Teams or Slack. And to keep up with employee perspectives in real time, satisfaction scores from pulse surveys will give those people leaders insight into employee sentiment regarding the journey experience and allow them to act immediately to address any concerns. And the last thing we'll look at around HR today is the issue auto resolution for HR. And I really think it's clear that by delivering enhanced employee experiences is more important now than ever before. And as we've mentioned with hybrid work, it's here to stay. Many organizations are looking for more ways to increase that organizational efficiency. Now, powered by AI, issue auto resolution for HR improves case deflection and employee self-service by automating that resolution of routine HR inquiries. So this feature uses natural language understanding to analyze unstructured requests, and when appropriate, it delivers self-service content that meets employees where they're at in channels, like I said before, like Teams or Slack via SMS or email. It also identifies critical or sensitive cases that need a more human touch and routes them directly to HR agents for that high-touch experience. So that's it for me on HR service delivery, and now I think it's back to Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. So just going to touch on a couple of things out of the performance analytics in the Tokyo release. Fernando, if you want to go to the next slide. The visualization designer is new functionality allowing users to configure data visualizations more quickly and can be used across multiple pages. It provides better reusable content and management for creating visualizations that can be used in multiple locations and can be changed in one place. It's also intended for users without business knowledge or understanding of the raw data to get access to pre-configured data visualizations that they can add to their own dashboard. So you can create these widgets and put them into places where they can be reused. Next page, please. The next experience dashboard is allowing non-technical users the ability to create and edit dashboards from their workspace, like we were talking about previously, to enable them to help collaborate between users and have a single source of truth around data and processes. It's enabling users to be able to create and edit dashboards using a new online feature from the workspace. And it allows system admins and UI builders can create advanced technical dashboards and share them across. Fernando, if you can move to the next page, please. And also in that next experience dashboard, analytics pages can be embedded as part of any of the experience across, so we can start to reuse these items. Next slide. There's also a bunch of new functionality around the analytics and visualizations, reporting visualizations. I'm going to just talk to them here. If you download the deck, there are pictures of each of these and examples of each of these pieces. But what really struck me is so many of our clients are exporting stuff to Excel to go do things with. And more we can use analytics and use the reporting data visualizations to do things that we wanted. So we now have multi-pivot table visualizations. So we don't have to go to Excel to get good pivot. We have dial charts where we can start to see things more graphically and have a cleaner visualization. This doesn't change any of the content that's underneath there, but we can see it in a different way. We also have better ways of doing date range filtering, aggregation indicators, and all of this is in a single page that we can start to build our reporting. Again, this capability doesn't change the data that's in there, but it allows us to have a better view of information that's there. We have ability to bring in data from APIs and other data sources, so we can start to put that together. And all of this is coming into the data visualizations for our customers. And then, Fernando, if you can go to the page on the user experience analytics. And then lastly, there's some new functionality around user experience analytics. And those of you who are familiar with the concept of experience level agreements, XLAs, this is a start towards that, because as we start to build and understand what is working and what is not working for our users and our customers, then we can start to build better, more effective items that provide us with the outcomes that we're looking for and make us more effective. So this starts to measure user experience and provides us with some of the basis and the framework for starting to build that experience level agreement conversation, the XLA 2.0, for those of you who are familiar with that area. So again, very quickly over some of the analytics, we're just trying to give you some breadcrumbs on things that you might be interested in using and start to explore. We can go to the question and answer section now if people have questions.
Yeah, Greg, thanks
Excellent.
for. Yeah, I was going to just say, Fernando, thanks for teeing that up. And, just as a reminder to everybody, if you'd like a copy of presentation, that'll get sent out automatically as well. But if there's more questions, you can put them right in the chat. On that note, I don't know if you had anything else to share, Fernando, as we kind of wind things up here.
There were a couple of questions in the chat around email notifications, re-enabling the default notification with ServiceNow branding. I think that shouldn't have happened. I think that's a configuration issue, so we'll have to look at that. Because it shouldn't rebrand your email notifications. That's not intended behavior. That's what I will say to keys in around that one. And then this one is for you, Greg. Will there be user experience analytics for Employee Center?
Jay, can you help me with that answer? Is there is there analytics around the Employee Center?
Yes, yeah. So we can bring any of the data from the Employee Center into any kind of dashboard type view and measure engagement. If that's what the question's about, but
yeah,
measuring different
I didn't
things.
see that question, so I'm having a hard time with the full.
I think, I mean, if you have pro licensing, right, or enterprise, and you have PA, you shouldn't have any issues utilizing this dashboard. You just need to configure it as such, because out of the box, I think, I mean, I've used it, again, coming from a CSM background, we've used it for, obviously, the CSM and the CSP portals for consumers and customers, and it does work out of the box.
But yeah, tying the user experience analytics to the Employee Center is a good suggestion. That would make a lot of sense. Any other questions, anybody?
Sounds like we might be good. Well, hey, thanks so much, team of presenters on this again. This is one of a part of a series, and we've got more coming. Look forward to having everyone still join us. But if you'd like more information on anything you saw here, if you want to pick any of our brains, as Greg mentioned, happy to jump on a call, have a separate meeting with you. CDW is one of the top ServiceNow partners in the world. And if you're a CDW customer or thinking about it, you've got access to that team as well. So if you need any help, have any questions or ideas for future topics, we'd love to hear from you. We're putting our agenda together for the end of this year and starting to plan out early next year. Let us know what you're interested in, and we'll try to get that on the agenda. Thanks so much, everyone. Talk to you soon.